Hello everyone, my name's Nymphina and welcome to another episode of Animal Crossing New Horizons. I just want to remind you guys to hit that like button, comment and subscribe because we're on the road to 500 subscribers and I'll be doing a face reveal along with a Q&A once we get there. Also check out the link in the description which will also be in the eye in the corner for my 100 sub giveaway that I'm doing for you guys. Now in today's video I am wanting to actually show you guys some tips and tricks that I use for my terraforming when I'm decorating my island and making it what I want it to be. Just to note, this was filmed before the update that came out today, so some of the things that I mentioned may not be as accurate, such as, you know, the including of 50 new design slots for the actual design things that you can use on your island. So remember to keep that in mind when you're decorating your island, that we now all have 50 additional custom design slots for when we're doing designing on our island. But without further ado, let's jump into today's video. So to start off with, we're going to do one little trick that I've been incorporating into quite a few of my builds, and I'll flash some areas on screen of what you can see of where I've been doing it. But what we need to do is we need to get out our cliff construction kit, and you may or may not have already seen this, but obviously I'm going to be showing you how to do it, which is putting a tree onto a cliff, which is obviously a glitch, but it works and it looks absolutely amazing in my opinion, especially if you're wanting to create like a kind of natural foresty looking area. And also, you know, it just means that you don't have to, you know, put a load of things around trees because you're worried about what's going to be around them. So you build a 3x3, you make sure you don't have this corner here, and then you put a water here, you put a water here, and then you have to do these two first because you need to have this at an angle like this. So now let me grab my ladder and we'll hop on top. And quite simply, you just get the tree that you have picked up and you plant it. Easy, simple, looks amazing once you've obviously terraformed around it. So I'm just going to terraform around it, make it look a little prettier. That's the wrong tool, and we'll see what happens. So there you go, now you have a tree on the edge of a cliff and you can obviously put things around it and behind it. If you do want to, you know, potentially put it into a 1x1 so it's on its own single square, let me uno momento and I'll put it on its own single square. You just take away the corners. You have to do it in a pretty strategic way. You can copy exactly what I've done or you don't have to. And there you go, you have a tree on a cliff now. As I said, I think it gives a really nice element to your island being able to do something like this. Not specifically putting it on a 1x1, but being able to put it on like the one with the two side bits that we just had. I think that looks really good and it just looks awesome. And then if you're worried about, oh no, I've done this by accident, I don't know what to do, you just simply go onto the app. Yes, clean things up. And voila, the tree is gone. So the next thing that I want to show you guys that I incorporate a lot into my builds, which you've obviously seen if you've watched any of my videos, is using paths quite a bit. I am absolutely in love with this cobblestone path. I've said it in every single video that I've used it in, but I just want to show you guys kind of the versatility that you can use with paths, because even though this one is obviously, you know, it's a cobblestone path, you can use it for accenting things, which is what I do quite a lot. So like over here, if we have a look at this, obviously isn't a path itself, but because I've got separate little bits, I've used it to accent a little kind of guided walkway so that it doesn't feel like it's completely connected, but it also feels like it's still in nature. This broken up kind of pattern I really like. I think it really goes well with kind of this overgrown vibe, rustic nature, whatever you want to call it. I think it looks really, really good. Another thing that I want to show you is the amazingness of what we all know as the path from the other games that somebody amazingly designed into this game. And just this, even though I haven't used it much on my island, I think it looks absolutely amazing. Maybe I'll incorporate it at some point, but it just looks so good and it looks like it's supposed to be there. So let me just quickly make something, kind of show you how I used to use it on my island, and maybe it'll give you some ideas of how you could potentially use it on your island. So about 5 minutes of work of playing with the path, and I've already created something that I think looks really awesome and potentially could be used on your island. I think this path is very nostalgic towards the previous games, because obviously in the previous games when you ran across grass you would create like little walkways of where you would usually run, and this kind of gives you that previous vibe. And the benefit is other people have created paths like this, so you can have seasonal paths and all you need to do is just swap out exactly the same pattern in your palette. One thing that's also really good about the custom design is that you can have kind of greenery such as like these clovers I have here without actually incorporating the weeds into your design. Some people really like to use them on their island, but I have a lot of difficulty. This is because I always forget about where they are, what's happening, and then they completely overgrow. Obviously, a way of combating this is to put a completely transparent custom design around them. This includes flowers, weeds, anything that overgrows, and that stops it from growing. You've just got to make sure that you get the 3x3 adjacent blocks, so the 8 blocks around it in a square, and then it'll stop it from overgrowing. But personally, I don't like to incorporate that because I like the naturalness of being able to find a weed on your island, so I don't bother doing that. Another thing that I like using the custom designs for is incorporating picnic blankets into my island. I think having picnic blankets and just picnics in general make your island feel a lot more welcoming and homely, as if the villagers themselves are actually setting up shop in some places and just having a nice chill time, like for example by this lake, or at my campsite, or in my nice little picnic area that I put by my nooks. To create the actual design that you see on the floor, the checkered pattern, I believe it's actually quite simple to design it yourself, but people actually just put it onto the thing, onto the portal that you find in Able Sisters, so I'll put a few of the custom designs down there in the description so that you can check out the ones that I use. I absolutely adore the frills that you see on the sides of these ones, they're my absolute favourites. I do wish that we had a version though of them that was flipped 90 degrees so that you could have some of the picnic blankets going more vertical down your island rather than horizontal, but that's just my opinion. Either way, I think they look absolutely amazing. I definitely suggest that you try and incorporate them into your islands because they just feel very, as I said, welcoming, warm, friendly, and just nice in general, at least in my opinion. One thing I also like to use quite a lot is fencing in my builds. I specifically use the country fencing, the hedge fence, and the barbed wire fence in my designs. I use these because I think they all really incorporate and collaborate very well together. I think they look really good and kind of break up, especially the hedge designs, because if you put the hedges all together you get this big block of green and I don't think it looks very good, so incorporating it with the barbed wire and the country fencing, I think it looks really good. If there's one thing that you take away from this video, which I really hope you do, is don't be afraid of using fences as just actual decoration in your island. I see so many people using them as just a way to fence off people's houses, and I think they have so much more versatility than just being a way to section off areas. I quite like placing them around trees to kind of give this idea that someone's just built something and kind of just left it there. It just kind of gives this idea of like abandonment, but in a positive way, in my eyes at least. I think it all looks really good, it collaborates with the nature quite well, and that's also why I choose the hedge, the barbed wire and the country fencing, because it all just collaborates with the nature of your island really well. The next thing I want to talk about is being able to play with water on your islands. Now, I was a person who was at fault at this when I first created my first island and got terraforming. I was terrified about not having an area where the water originated from, but as you can see in this sunken waterfall design that I did for outside Lily's house, I have two areas of water that don't actually have like a proper quote-unquote starting area. To me, a starting area is something like what you see on the right here, where there's like a bit of a lake or a river that kind of makes it so that the water originates from somewhere. But one thing that I've changed and evolved from is that don't be afraid of your water not having a starting point. As well as that, don't be afraid of your water not having an ending point. If you just look on the left, right at the very left, you can see there's a little bit of waterfall that just kind of falls and doesn't go anywhere. Now, like I said, don't be afraid of this. Don't be afraid of your water not having an origin point and not having an ending point, because if you worry about that, that really limits what you do with your island. So just have fun with it, see what you really like, and you'll find something that looks absolutely awesome. Just don't be afraid of it. Now as you can see, we've jumped onto my map here, because one thing that I was really worried about when I first created my first island was I was always worried about what the rivers looked like on the map. This is because I felt that if it didn't look good on the map, it wouldn't look good on my island, and I was always worried about that. But as you can see here, and if I have a few other examples, I'll put a few more examples up so that you can see this. Don't be worried about what your rivers look like, because what you're creating and what you're visually seeing when you're actually on your island is what's important. If you look at my lake, it looks a little bit like the Millennium Falcon, or one of the icons out of the Space Invader games. But when I look at my lake actually in person on my island, it doesn't look like that. It looks really nice, in my opinion at least, really natural, and I think it flows really, really well. So like I've said, don't be worried about what it looks like on the map. This does not matter, okay? Another aspect of terraforming and design that I want to talk about is using items kind of randomly in your builds. Obviously this all depends on the theme that you're going for with your island, so definitely try and go to people's dream addresses and look on Pinterest to try and find inspiration of what you can do for your island. But one thing that I quite like to do is to just fill my pockets with loads and loads of items that I think will work really, really well. You would have seen this on my previous terraforming videos, so check them out in the description below, or just look on my channel for them. But like I said, I like to fill my pockets with loads of items that I think will look really cool on my island, and then I terraform, I build what I want to have, and then I just throw the items around basically. I throw them around, I see what works, and just kind of use that as the inspiration to create things. I usually don't have a plan of what I want to create, and this is one thing that I want you guys to take away from this. Don't have a strategic plan of what you want to do for an area, because with the limitations of the game, because all games have limitations, you won't be able to create everything that you want. Like you, I've seen loads and loads of images on Instagram, Pinterest, Facebook, you know, wherever, of things that I really want to personally incorporate into my island, but I can't do that because of what I've already created. Now, I don't completely just, you know, take down everything that I've done and start afresh as soon as I see an idea that I want, because creating something that comes from you is kind of the best thing, at least I think it is. Don't worry about it not looking right, because you can always find an image on Pinterest of something that you really, really like and just recreate it on your island, and then edit and editorialize it so that it looks really good for you. But anyway, I'm going to leave today's episode here. I really hope you enjoy potentially having some of these tips and tricks that I've used for my island. Maybe you'll be able to incorporate it into your builds. Comment down below if you have, tag me on Instagram, message me on Instagram of if you potentially used any of the ideas. I would absolutely love to know. Once again, I want to remind you guys to like, comment and subscribe. Also share with your friends if you think they're going to enjoy, because we're now on the road to 500 subscribers, where I'll be introducing a face cam into my videos and doing a Q&A once we get there. So make sure to also comment down below if you've got any questions that you want me to answer in the 500 sub Q&A. Enough of me babbling. I hope you have an amazing day wherever you are in the world, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!